year, and it happens to be the Hilula of Rishon Lezion, a chief rabbi of Israel, here on the Hebrew date of the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, on, you could say, the most solemnest, the saddest day of the Jewish calendar year, happens to be the great rabbi's Hilula. His name was Rabbi Yitzhak Nissim. He was actually born back in the English year 1895, to be precise, on the 12th of December, and passed away on the 9th of August in the year 1981. So he was approximately close to about 86 years of age, if I'm not mistaken, at the time passing. He will become a chief rabbi in Israel, Rav Lציון, also a chief Sephardi rabbi in Israel, for a long tenure of 17 years between the years 1955 to 1972. It's actually interesting. So he was actually born in Baghdad, which had a huge Jewish Torah community at that point in time. He came from great heritage. His father was Arab Rachamim, and I believe he himself was born in Iran, and his mother was born in Baghdad, if I'm not mistaken, also in Iraq. Naturally, very, very great people. His mother's name was if I'm not mistaken, also. So he actually learned at a young age. He was learning under the auspices of the great Rabbi Shimon Agassi. Actually happens to be here on Chet of Av, the Hilula of Rabbi Shimon Agassi also. And also another great Rabbi Tzadka Chutzin, who also was one of his teachers, who was also, I believe, an Av Bet Din, and the founder of the Shemesh Tzedakah synagogue, in respectively also, and one of the great students of the Ben Ish Chai, famously also. I believe in the year 1925, he moved to Israel, I believe, to Palestine at the time, and with his wife, Victoria, Rabbanit Victoria. It was a journey that lasted, reported over several months, where they had to travel by donkeys and through animals. Obviously, in that stage in time, people were not traveling on aeroplanes. Afterwards, he immigrated to Jerusalem. He became very close with other great Rabbanim also in Jerusalem, including Rabbi Hezkiah Shabtai, who also one of the great Hacham Bashis and chief rabbis of Jaffa also. And he himself, Rabbi Hezkiah Shabtai, was a great rabbi in Tripoli, in Libya. Also, another rabbi he became close to was the Ashkenazic chief rabbi, Rabbi Abraham Yitzchak HaKohen Cook, also, and Rabbi Shlomo Eliezer Alfandari. He was another great, who also nicknamed the Hasbah Kadisha, even the great rabbi. He himself passed away, I believe, in the year 1930, Rabbi Alfandari. I think we actually covered a video on the great rabbi himself of Hacham, the Hasbah Kadisha. That was his name. And afterwards, it's actually very interesting. So he continued learning Torah. He was working also in commerce parts of the time also. And in the year 1951, it was reported over, he actually was on the list of Rabbi Eliyahu's Knesset list. And there was a deputy over there, but they didn't actually make it into the Knesset because they didn't get enough percentage at that point in time. I believe in the year 1953, the great Rabbi Ben Zion Meir Chai Uziel, who happened to be the Sephardi chief rabbi at the time, was at a point in time the chief rabbi, and then afterwards, who would succeed him? Obviously the great rabbi who we're speaking about today. In the year 1955, Rabbi Yitzhak Nissim would actually take his place, will take over from Chacham Ben Zion, which was a very, very prestigious position. It would be a position where he would be for 17 years. So one of the longest standing Rishon Lezions, respectively, in Israel. He was very close at the time, I think, with another Rabbi Yaakov Moshe Toledano at that point in time. And he kept this position for 17 years. And then I believe his successor at the end was Rabbi Ovadia Yosef, the famous rabbi, where I believe he himself was a chief rabbi, if I'm not mistaken, between the years 1973 to 1983 also. In 1976, Rabbi Nissim was awarded an honorary doctorate from the famous Bar Ilan University, and he passed away in the year 1981 in Tisha B'Av on that day. So we're talking about 43 years ago from the time of his recording. I believe his wife passed away several years later in the year 1988. So now let's explore some of the great works he did. He did a lot of great Torah works also, which we have to speak about. One of the books was a Shut Yain Atov, which was, I think, put into two chalakim, I think, Chelek Aleph and Bet, which was a really colossal work. It was printed, I believe, in Jerusalem. Then there was a Ledor or Ledorot, which was on Mamrim, and which was Torah words with regards to Chizuk, which was put, I think, into 3 different volumes also. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was after he passed away. It was actually compiled by Rav Shmuel Katz, if I'm not mistaken. Then there was the Leklal or Leprat, Hilchot Ktsuvot, if I'm not mistaken, also, which was also Tshuvot, short answers with regard to halacha from the Rabbi. I think it was also published after he passed away through Rabbi Shmuel Katz, also in 3 chalakim also. So he really did a lot of great work. He was actually, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the 39th Rishon Letzion, 37th Rishon Letzion. There were many famous Rishon Letzions at that stage in time. It's actually interesting. He was actually, while he was working as chief rabbi, he was very diverse and tried to work with everyone. He would visit the secular kibbutzim to give people hizuk over there also. I think he was close with various politicians and public figures also, including Professor Gershom Shalom, if I'm not mistaken, from the Hebrew University. And he tried to do, I think he had close connections with people internationally also, within regards to people from Italy, from various different countries also. Also, I believe he was one of the rabbis. It was his initiative to bring the bones of the famous Chidat Rabbi Chaim Yosef David Azulay back to the land of Israel, where he was, I think, eventually going to be buried in Israel, in the Mount of Comfort, the Har HaMenuchot cemetery. Also, I think they moved his bones, if I'm not mistaken, from Morocco. Also, he founded also a midrash for rabbinical training. Some of the graduates included, especially the first ones, Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu, the famous rabbi who would also become a chief rabbi in Israel. And also Rabbi Moshe Topik, also who was a great rabbi, member who would become of the great rabbinical court. Also, and especially of the rabbinic courts of Tel Aviv and Ashdod. Also, after his death, there were many different commemorations that were named after him. I think the Yad Rabbi Nissim Institute was established in his name. It was a Torah Academia Institute that combines academic research with a Beit Midrash, so people can learn Torah. Also, there's many streets, I think, especially in Bnei Brak, in Jerusalem, in Haifa, in Holon, in Ra'anana, there are streets named after him, as well as I think there's elementary schools reported over in Ramla and Afula also that are named after him. He was chosen as a role model of religious state education in the year 2015. So it's reported over. Let's explore his family history also. He had a lot of great heritage also. I believe he had 5 brothers, including Shlomo Tzion, and he himself was brutally murdered in Baghdad by the Ottoman authorities, I think in the year 1917, along with 18 other Jewish people also. He actually wrote a lament. Rabbi Yitzhak Nissim wrote a lament in his memory, a kina, in his memory of when he was sadly so cruelly murdered. And I think you can read a lot about his brother online. I think it's very much documented what happened over there. Other brothers included Rabbi Yechaskel Ezra Rahami, also, who was another great rabbi over there. He was rabbi in the Kabbalist in Baghdad, if I'm not mistaken. He authored different halacha books. Also, Rabbi Avram Chaim Rahami, there was also who was a Rosh Yeshiva and Mukobal. I believe he himself proofread the books of the Ben Ish Chai, Chacham Yosef Chaim, and was his Talmid also. Among his children included various prestigious people. Minister Moshe Nissim was one of his children also. I believe Minister Moshe Nissim himself was a lawyer. Benjamin Moshe Nissim, he was a lawyer, I think, and worked in politics, Israeli politics, if I'm not mistaken. Also, he was a minister, also very prestigious position. Also, Professor Meir Ben Yahu was also, I believe, also one of his children. Also, and also I believe Ruth Nissim also is one of his descendants. Among his students, we mentioned some of his students before, included Rabbi Mordechai Eliyahu, also Rabbi Ezra Betzari, also, who was, I think, the dean of the Great Rabbinical Court in Jerusalem at one stage, also, and author of many books. Another one of his students, as we said before, was Rabbi Moshe Tupik, who was also part of the Great Rabbinical Court in Jerusalem. Also, the famous Rabbi Yaakov Moshe Hillel, famous Kabbalist, and the head of the Avat Shalom Yeshiva. It was one of his students. Also, he really was one of the great rabbis in the Medinat Israel history. Please light candles in his memory. Unfortunately, happens to be on Tisha B'Av, the saddest day of the year. Let's hope there'll be the rebuilding of the Bet HaMikdash. B'mehera Avmenu. And just wishing brachot from Israel. I hope this was informative. We can explore some more of his grandparents also was, I believe his grandfather from his side of his father was Rabbi Shlomo Nissim also. I didn't mention that also. And yeah, please just light candles in memory, and we're going to learn more about the great Rabbanim of yesteryear. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel also. We have already covered more than 320 great Rabbanim of yesteryear. Don't forget to share the videos and like the videos and subscribe. Thanks.